Nice to meet you, by the way. My name is Raymond. This is my. Sorry, what was your name?
My name's Mi.
Me. Okay, nice to meet you, Me. This is Jim.
Yeah.
And this is Joey. We're currently doing a project, a site which essentially connects startups and other impoverished communities with funding, which will be funded by investors, and we attempt to bring them together through our site. So this interview is hopefully going to take around 20 minutes, so we'll be done around 6:30-ish. And we just want to get some insight as to how you feel about certain aspects of our site. I'd like to state officially that your answers are anonymous, even though you're going to be filmed. And we're going to have a note taker essentially just looking down what you say briefly, and a guy taking the video. I'd also like to ask that you remain honest. There isn't any one specific answer. We're just looking for obviously some insights just for our site. Yeah, and also the questions that I'm asking might be pretty obvious as well. And I'll essentially be asking a lot of follow-up questions of why you think and what you think. And that's not me being pretentious, that's just me trying to understand your thoughts. Okay, so before we start, do you have any questions for us?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, cool. So the first question that we have is when you have, when you have decided on an idea to realize, what are the difficulties you've done when you were looking for funding?
Okay, so let me think. Actually, it was so last year I was involved in Melbourne Ideas, and our team actually won the first prize for Melbourne Idea for a study app, a mobile app to help students get find study groups. But it wasn't hard for us to find the funding because Melbourne University offered student service amenity fees grants. So we applied for that and we got the fundings for our ideas. Probably the difficulty is to identify the funding to go for and to have like an appealing content, and also be able to prove that you're able to carry out what you want to do.
Okay, so for your example, you managed to convince the University of Melbourne that your idea was good, and your entire project was funded by the grant, right? Okay. And would you prefer talking with your investors, or in this case, University of Melbourne, face to face, or through an online interface to talk about your ideas?
So what we have done was, right, and then the committee selected people to give grants to. In real world, actually, I prefer to have it face to face. So it could be that everyone applied for the grants, and then selected shortlisted applicants will get interviewed or like meet the investor face to face. So you can kind of like pitch your idea more and get to know your investors and their expectations. Yeah.
And a follow-up to that is, what do you think are the most effective ways to attract your investors and fund your ideas?
Yeah, so to attract investors, I think it's probably first you need to have a pretty good, solid idea. And then it's not just about your idea, it's also about your team. Do you have the capabilities to manage your ideas and to bring it to fruition? Also, you have to look for the right place. Who would be interested in funding your ideas? Because not every investor is a general investor. They have their own interest, and even if your idea might not be so profitable, but like for example, our ideas is not profitable for the university, but it's something good for the student community. So that's why the university is funding it. Yeah. So look for the right investor that fit your purpose.
Okay. And just as an added to that, did you have any specific difficulties that you had when you were looking for investors and a specific team?
So first, the grants that we go for was student service, and we obviously offered the student service so it was pretty easy. Like if we had applied for something like a School of Engineering grants, I think we wouldn't get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. And the next thing that we want to talk about was related to networking, meeting with other people. And the first question is, what is the most effective method that you use to network with people in your field?
Like in my study field or in
just
the
relative-
ideas field?
Mostly ideas, perhaps other startups, perhaps investors.
Yeah.
Do you have any particular situations that you think is effective in meeting these people?
So what I found have been effective so far was that, so when we went for the competition, we actually get to meet lots of big names. Like, so the biggest, one of the judge on the panels was like the chief financial officer of Melbourne University, and he was pretty interested in our ideas. So we got into contact with him and meet up with him. So he suggested us to have our business plan, have our action plan, and he also like give us contacts for other people who could help us build the app. So that's how I feel could be the most effective. So you have to get your ideas out there, go into competitions, and then you meet with people who are influential, and if they're willing to help you, then you're in a good position.
Okay, cool. I guess also, what topics of ideas were you interested in? This is quite a broad one.
Yeah, that's pretty broad.
Yeah.
So probably something related to environment is something that I'm interested in, and then like social issues. So helping the community, because if it's just about getting rich. Like, I think the current generation people, we care more about other people and want to have like equalized the community. So
Are there any specific methods that you use to connect with investors with respect to your specific field? You mentioned social and environmental.
yeah, social environment. So probably like I don't have any specific investor because I haven't looked for them yet. But mostly like non-profit organizations, like environment, that could be like Climate for Change, but they're also looking for investor. So yeah, so sometimes you need to know who are the ones that can point you to the right directions.
Right. Okay. And in terms of investors that you like to deal with, what kind of resources would you look for in an investor? Obviously, there's money, but there's also experienced workers and different other things that you could look for. So, what would you be interested in an investor?
So it depends on the stage of the project, right? So right now we already had the money. So what we need is experienced people who can lead us to the right directions. Because we're sitting on a bunch of cash and we don't know what to do with it. Like, we could just spend it all and not develop anything. So it's really important to have someone who like kind of a bit like hold our hands and lead us through the process. And that's really good learning experience as well.
Okay. So right now that you've got funding, the most highest priority for you would be experienced workers that would help you implement your project. Okay. So the final one that we have is, what are the common, if any, what are the common misunderstandings that you have with your potential investors? And if that requires any clarification, what we mean by that is when investors invest, or University of Melbourne invests in your project, were there any aspects that you weren't able to clearly communicate to them with respect to your project?
So currently there isn't any that involves the University of Melbourne yet, but it could be about funding with paying yourself. So currently this project, we are developing it and we are involving in it, but we didn't get paid. The funding is just for the building of the physical app itself. So, but we are putting our efforts and time into it. So we had a bit of like conflicts about whether we should charge for our time.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. That's all the questions we have. Thank you for participating in the interview.
Thanks.